You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Hey, what's up? It's the ODB, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Boom!
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Well, hello there. Welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio. It's James Walsh, and this week we bring you a former TNA Knockouts champion and current Ring of Honor, Women of Honor superstar, who you also saw on Total Nonstop Deletion just a couple weeks ago. Of course, I'm speaking about the young lady who has her own whiskey barbecue sauce out there right now. I'm speaking, of course, of the one and only ODB. Hope everybody enjoys this interview. Stay tuned after the interview as Patrick and I, yes, Patrick's still alive, discuss professional wrestling as it is right now and do our year-end awards ceremony. There was no Slammy Awards this year, so consider this the Slammy Awards. Copyright infringement? Maybe. Enjoy!
Hey, this is the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, the world's greatest wrestling manager, if I do say so myself. And you're listening to the Interactive Interview. It's #1, baby.
The gift of the gods champion, Sexy Star, defends that prestigious title against Johnny Mundo.
From Monterrey, Mexico, Sexy Star!
Sexy Star on Lucha Underground. New episode Wednesday at 8 p.m. on El Rey Network.
Sponsored by Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Anderson, and you are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with us right now is a former TNA Knockouts champion, current star on Women of Honor for Ring of Honor, the one and only, and I do mean one and only this time, ODB. How you doing today, ODB?
What's going on?
All right. Well, you're definitely a unique person, and one of the unique things that you have going on right now is your whiskey barbecue sauce, and I've heard great things about this stuff. How has the reception been?
It's going good, yeah. So since I left TNA back in 2014, I came out with my own barbecue sauce and hot sauce. So I've been traveling, of course, in my famous Airstream trailer, the Silver Bullet. I've been traveling the country, going to different barbecue festivals, bike weeks, and it's funny, I actually landed a good gig. I am now working with Jimmy Hart, mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Oh, that's awesome.
He has a bar now in Daytona Beach, right on the beach. It's called Jimmy Hart's Hall of Fame Bar. And so I am actually opening up a restaurant called ODB's Barbecue, and it's going to be in the same, right next door to Jimmy. So we're in a hotel, actually. So
Daytona Beach. And that's going to be in Daytona Beach as well?
Yep, and it's right, we're at the Mayan Inn. It's a famous hotel right on the beach. So he has his bar, and I'll have my barbecue joint, and we're going to do a grand opening in February.
That
we
is
haven't had
incredible.
A date yet. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I'm not really good on geography in Florida. Is Daytona Beach terribly far from Tampa?
About 3 hours.
About 3 hours. Okay, good. See, no competition
from Orlando.
No competition then from the Cuban Assassins bar and Hulk Hogan's restaurant as well. You're far enough away. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
bring on competition.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad for you. That's awesome news. And I actually read an interview you did recently where you said that while you were one of the big stars on TNA Impact Wrestling, that you were also bartending. Is that true? That you had to bartend?
Yeah. Yep. I've been in the bar business. Oh gosh, for a long time, since like my OVW days, and I've always loved the bar business. And when I when I was with TNA, we did we do a lot of shows, and then I'd get bored, and I'm like, well, I hate wasting days. There's always time to make money. And so my buddy owned a bar, and I was like, well, I'll try out bartending. So I've always just liked it. Yeah, and then I would literally watch myself on Thursday night
at the bar.
And I would be the bartender. So, yeah.
We just had on Rockstar. We had Rockstar Spud on not long ago, and he told me that every Thursday night he goes into some bar in Nashville and they turn it on for him. So
that's how you do it. Help promote yourself. He was awesome. I've wrestled him a few times. He's a good talent. He's an awesome guy.
Yes, he is.
I whooped his ass.
Well, recently you pulled almost like a new generation Rick Rude. 1 week you're main eventing Ring of Honor TV, then you show up on Impact, the Total Nonstop Deletion. What was that like, getting to work for both of the big non-WWE companies in the U.S. all at once?
It is good because it's awesome being a free agent. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can say what you want. And so right now it's like, people are calling. I'm actually getting a lot. I haven't really wrestled in a while, but I've been doing some stuff with the Ring of Honor, and I love them because it's nice because they're actually giving girls an opportunity, and there's always like 3 or 4 matches on the show. So that's good, and they have their own little show, and that was fun. But I'm wrestling girls way younger than me now, so it's kind of I got to keep up with the new era here. And then when TNA called me, because I actually brought my food truck when I was in Nashville. I brought my food truck to TNA. So I fed them lunch, and then they were talking. And, we left on good terms, so we have, we've always been on good terms. So they wanted to know if I wanted to do a little TV show with at the Hardy Boys. I was like, hell yeah. So thank you.
What did you think?
Yeah, so it's.
What did you think of that whole theatrical experience, that radically different Total Nonstop Deletion event?
It's cool. It was interesting to be there. So I arrived early in my Airstream, and I parked it at Jeff Hardy's house. I couldn't tell anyone I was there, like on social media. I kind of wanted to keep it a surprise because we taped it about a month ago. Yeah. And so I went there a day early and kind of watched what they were doing, and had some drinks at the Hardy Boys' house.
That's pretty cool.
And so it was fun. So it was fun to sit back, have a few beers, and just watch it. Jeremy Borash is started that, and it's really cool how it's different. And it's awesome stuff. They got something really cool there. And I got to motorboat a drone, so. Oh, boy.
That was fun.
I didn't think that was going to make TV. I just I'm going to grab this guy, see what happens.
My kid, I'll tell you the truth, my kid is a bit of a science guy. And when you grab the drone, he said, no, don't break it.
You're taking on my paycheck.
There you go. All right. So I must say, we're in the holiday season. We're recording this just days after Christmas, and one of the things that I was talking about was Impact didn't quite feel the same on Thanksgiving without yourself and Eric Young involved in random stuff. So, how do you feel about Eric Young's success currently with NXT?
Yeah, that's actually I love how all those guys, like AJ Styles is a champion. Like, what the hell? That's awesome. That's where he belongs, and it's really cool for all the original TNA guys are, getting these big opportunities. You got my hubby T.Y., you got Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and it's cool to see those guys doing that, because that's, we all want to be at the big show, That's what we're in the business for, and it's awesome seeing those guys there. And NXT is awesome. I haven't been to a show yet. But,
you're in Florida and you haven't been to a show yet. That's surprising.
I know,
they're always
right?
on Florida. Yeah, they're always
Jimmy
there.
Hart won't give me a day off. What the hell?
I love Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart's the only guest on this show who ever once said that he loves us, because I referenced some of his music stuff in my interview questions. So he was so appreciative of the fact that I wasn't just asking about Hulk Hogan. That that was awesome.
That's funny. I get to see Jimmy Hart every day for about 12 hours a day.
Did you guys meet?
Been cool.
Did you guys meet in TNA, or did you meet, like I mentioned off air, back in Memphis?
I've known them, throughout the years in my indie days, and we've always, kind of kept in touch. And I was out here for Bike Week, and I have my, barbecue sauce out, and we had a little conversation, and he's like, "Let's work together." I was like, "All right, let's do this." So, it's great. He's given me a huge opportunity, so it's nice. I can't mess it up. I don't want to fuck it up.
Well, you're gonna be right next door to him, so at some point, you guys are gonna have to get along if you're gonna be working next door too, as well as his place.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna have when we have our grand opening, we want to allow the wrestlers to come out and stuff. That's gonna be quite the grand opening.
I'm sure it's going to be one. Yeah, absolutely. So going back to some fan questions that came in. So here's a goofy one that I read, and I thought it might be funny enough to ask. Let's say we walk into a supermarket and we got ODB's barbecue sauce right next to Jim Ross's barbecue sauce. Which one do we pick up?
Oh, shit. You grab them both.
Diplomatic answer.
Mix them together.
There you
I've
go.
actually met Jim Ross for the first time about a month ago. I went to his show in Nashville, and Jeff Jarrett, James Storm was there. That was fun. Like, that was my first time ever meeting him. We never really crossed paths in our careers, so it was pretty cool. I got to talk to him, and so hopefully I'll be on the Jim Ross report soon.
I hope so. Hopefully he'll hear this and have you on in time to promote the grand opening of your restaurant.
Yeah, but I do want to have a barbecue cook-off with him. I am challenging him. So he might have to come out to Jimmy Hart, bring his barbecue sauce, and we'll have a cook-off.
Awesome. I guess I should have asked this back a few minutes ago, but was the Total Nonstop Deletion appearance of yours a one-off, or is there a possibility that we'll be seeing you make a return back into TNA?
Oh, boy, you never know. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but you never know. Never say never, but I just came back from Japan, so I still have wrestling in me. I think I'm going to make another run at it, and I'm going to start doing more independent bookings. And so people are,
What company did you work for over in Japan?
I did. It's a new company. It's an all-girl promotion called Season Lining. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was great. I had a blast. That was my first time over there. So it was very cool. It's funny though, since I show a lot when I wrestle and grab my boobs, they thought that was funny.
I was going to ask, how did they react to your strong character? How did they react to that over there?
Yeah, they like the ODB over there. I'm so different from, the other girls, and we had a good match, and it was one of the Japanese girls actually. She's like, "Are you gonna put pants on?" Because my ass likes to hang out a little bit more these days.
Oh man. You mentioned that you worked for an all-girls promotion, and that's kind of something that we're seeing a lot of in the United States right now. Obviously, WWE is putting a lot more focus on women's wrestling than they used to.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And you got Brooke Hogan and Lacey Von Erich apparently doing something. The rebirth of WoW, if you remember WoW, apparently that's going to be.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's going to be heading our way soon too. Yeah.
Hello, gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Hell yeah.
So it sounds.
It's pretty cool to see. I think NXT kind of, the knockouts from when I started back in 2007, I think us TNA knockouts really kind of, set it up there, where set the bar where we all were so different. We're characters. We're not, you put us all in the ring, you notice, but not everyone looks alike. And I think now with WWE, they're bringing that back, where the girls are very talented. and they're, getting 2 matches a show. They're headlining pay-per-view. Like, that's freaking awesome. So it's a good time to be a woman, in wrestling these days.
What does that make you think of? Do you ever think that, hey, I'd like a shot at that? I'd like to, Mickie James, who you had a feud with in TNA and know very well. Does it make you think I'd like a shot there?
Excited. It does get it, because I've been in the business for about 16 years now, and it gets me excited. Like, oh shit, they're bringing in different girls, and they're letting them wrestle and not be just, like they took away the word divas. That was cool. So they're changing it up. It's good.
What do you think of that, the removal of the name divas? Do you think it objectified in any way?
I like it. They are superstars. They are part, women are a big part of women, of wrestling, of pro wrestling. We're not just managers, valets. We actually can go, and we're very, unique and sex sells. But you also can be hot and still, you're not doing pillow fights anymore, thank God. There's a time and place for that, but it's nice to see, 2 girls are wrestling now in cage matches. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Do you think TNA should follow suit and maybe change the name of the Knockouts division, or you think Knockouts is fine?
Oh, Knockouts are good. We're Knockouts. Yeah.
That works. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got to keep the Knockouts.
All right. Awesome. Word association from a fan that sent in a question. I know he's, because of the Minnesota connection, you guys are probably pretty good friends. Jeremy Borash. What's your thoughts on JB?
Oh, shit. I love JB. I love JB. Honestly, he is one of the hardest working guys in wrestling. What's that?
I was going to say I agree with you, but I made him mad once, and I feel really bad about it. I called him a dork, and I think he took it the wrong way.
What? Oh, boy.
I didn't mean it that way. He is. I sincerely.
What do you mean you didn't mean it that way? You called him a dork. What kind of way you
Oh, it was a response to something he said, but I think he only saw the response and not how I meant it. So, oh well, if he's listening to this, and he probably will, I want to say I love you, JB. You are awesome, and anybody involved in that Total Nonstop Deletion, so out there.
Yeah, JB is very talented. He knows his wrestling. It's just I miss him. I don't see a lot of those guys a lot, so. But he's been busy now. He's doing Robert Irvine, working with him, doing his shows, and he'll be flying all over the world, and he's still going. I think that's awesome. He's a very hard worker.
Awesome. Well, it's been so awesome having you on. We're going to make it pretty painless for you tonight. But last fan question. Question for you.
Bring it on.
Here goes. What's in the flask?
Oh, boy. It always depended, who I was wrestling. And, yes, I did put real shit in there. It was. You can kind of tell by my face sometimes if you go back and watch some of my matches. Sometimes I'd take a swing and be like, oh, damn. But I would have some good stuff. I would have Fireball in there. I had Jägermeister. I actually got Gail Kim in a match. She grabbed my flask in a live pay-per-view. And I was like, oh, shit, because everyone thought I didn't put nothing in it.
Uh-huh.
So she grabbed it, and she was like, holy crap. She, spit it out a little bit. And I got Jackie Moore with it, too. I was like, drink it, bitch. And actually, a funny story with the flask. Sting, it was me and EY were about to go out, and we were in the go-to position, and Sting is very, reserved and very quiet. Good look. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't do that. Have a good night, guys. And he's very reserved and just quiet. Very, he's a gentleman and good looking.
You mentioned that twice, so.
I know. Sorry, I got distracted by my locals here in Daytona.
No, that's okay.
And but he's like, can I ask you a question? He's like, what do you put in there? And I'm like, here, want to taste it? He's like, oh no. And I was like, oh, you pussy. And I was like, I just called Sting a pussy. I'm like, oh shit. And then my music hit. I'm like, oh, thank God. See you later. Yeah, he's very, reserved. So I was like, oh boy, great.
Awesome.
Well, that was
one of the things I did want to say to you is I do think that you guys, the TNA knockouts of the era where women's wrestling in TNA kind of jumped before WWE was doing it seriously. You guys did it, and sometimes, people forget that. They want to give WWE all the credit for it, but you guys were really doing the serious women's wrestling with everybody with a character before WWE was.
Yeah.
And does it bother you at all that maybe sometimes if you're not working under the WWE banner or a company that's owned by WWE, that it doesn't get remembered as much as what they do?
Oh, yeah, I get it. Like, it is because, like, you had me, Kong, Gail Kim, Roxy, Chantel. Like, you had all of us there, and it was and the beautiful people. And it's like we all were so different, and we were already doing ladder matches back then. We were doing cage matches. We had Queen of the Cage, and which I won one year. And
yes, you did.
So it was. Yeah, I think people do kind of forget about that history, and whatever, people can think what they want, but it's in history that we did that stuff, and I think people need to I think maybe we need to remind people of that, that we had in that era, 2007 through I left in 2014, so
yeah,
but all through that time, we had a lot of girls coming in, like. Lisa Marie came in, and Mickey James came in, Miss Jackie. Like, you had a lot of people coming in our division to spice things up, and that's what you need. You need a division can get stale. There's only so many times you can see ODB and the beautiful people fight, and and so it's good to add different things in the division and change it up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, I guess my final question, it's still going to focus on TNA, and that is, I think you could probably tell by what I've asked you that I'm a big TNA fan. I'm a supporter of them, probably above WWE. With all the rumors that we had and all the bad times and the rumors of their demise, which, as you worked there, that they were constant, but probably closer to true this year than they ever have been before. What is your opinion of where they're headed with the new ownership?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. But you always, you want to keep the companies, it's more jobs for all the boys, and I just hope they, keep doing their thing, and hope they get some new management in there and do the thing, but yeah, because there's so much great talent. Like I love TNA. Like that's where I thank them so much because that's how ODB got out there, and that's how got my character going, and it was the locker room was freaking awesome there. Like there's so much good talent there, and I just wish it could be seen more.
I agree.
It needs, I hope they can get some house shows going on, and they need to get out there more. So I'm hoping,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you entirely. I'm hoping that with this new ownership, they seem like they're going to be more active. And, it's not officially been announced yet, so much is so hush-hush. But I said this, at least for the first time in a while, it doesn't sound like the end is near. It sounds like they have plans and they're going to try some stuff. And
hopefully it's a new beginning, and hopefully, because I always had a good time at TNA. They let me be me. They let me cross the line, as they say. I'd get in trouble here and there, but.
That was actually going to be my question. I remember when you kind of first really broke out and you did a couple segments with Christy Hemme and you were really off the cuff and, oh, man, they were pretty raw segments. Did you ever get, told, hey, you can't do that?
I actually, Spike TV actually, come up to me. You never know who's saying it. This person's saying it, and this person has to tell you, blah, 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 whatever. But I had someone, come talk to me in Spike TV. But she holds her boobs a little too much. She grabs them. She needs I got in trouble for calling the girl dude or on TV. And, so I was told, our knockouts are not whores. I'm like, it's a character. I'm not, relaxed. So I got told, hey, don't do that again. And then a month later, I was doing it again. Oh, fuck. I never asked for permission. That was one thing I learned in wrestling. Don't ask permission to do it. If you don't like it, they'll tell you, slap your hand a little bit.
There you go.
We'll get over it. But I don't think I would have been I was never afraid. Like, I was never afraid to hear the word no, or I would never ask, so I would never hear the word no sometimes. But I just had fun. Like, I had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I still do, and I miss it. I mean, I miss wrestling full time, but I got so much other stuff going on. But I am taking, more bookings this year, and doing more independent scenes and autograph signings and stuff. So.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have great success with that, as well as with your new barbecue sauce and the restaurant that's coming too. Be sure and let us know when we get closer to it, so we can do whatever we can to put the word out there and run some ads for you about the new restaurant.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. You can follow me on Twitter, the ODB Bam. I'm on Instagram, and then the Facebook, the official ODB. So, I'll make sure to tell you the exact date of the grand opening for all this. It's going to be a big old party down here in Daytona Beach.
Oh, man, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Hey, stay tuned for more from Interactive Wrestling Radio. Are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, cool. Can I just ask for one little favor? I start out every show with the guest of honor saying this is, in this case, ODB, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Do you mind giving me one of those?
Yep. Yeah.
And you could throw in a BAM or anything like that you'd like to do. Full ODB would be lovely.
All right. Interactive Wrestling Radio. All right.
And we'll count you down in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, what's up? It's the ODB, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Bam!
Love it. Love it. Hey, thank you so much.
I my boob when I said bam, too.
Oh, that's a great visual. There you go. So,
hey guys, this is Taylor Hendricks, and you are listening to Wrestling Epicenter. Check it out.
If you want to conquer something, you must be ready for a war.
This is insane. Lucha Underground is out of this world. I've never seen anything like this.
Lucha Underground, Season 3. New episode Wednesday at 8 p.m. on El Rey Network.
This is Kimberly Page, and the Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
This is Sting, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
The magic's in my head, I can't understand, but I still like my chances. And it doesn't really matter to me, I take my stand, but I still like my chances. Ow! No, 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 no.
welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. On the Newsmaker line with me right now is my partner, my buddy, my pal, and the longest reigning co-host on Interactive Wrestling Radio by quite a while. You're the only one who could put up with me, I think.
I'm just a good-natured, very, laid back, cool dude. So,
It's hard to piss him off, and that's probably why he's lasted this long. The one and only Patrick Kelly. Are you there, bud?
I'm here. How you doing, man?
Doing good. So it's been a few weeks since we last spoke. We did have an interview in the interim. We had Eddie Edwards on a show that I had to get up in breakneck speed to promote Total Nonstop Deletion. So I just basically gabbed for like 2 seconds and then put it up because we literally...
By the way, it was a hell of a show, if I do say so myself.
Total Nonstop Deletion?
Yes, that was insane. Specifically the tag team Apocalypto match. I was like, what the hell did I just watch?
Well, I'll tell you what.
But in a good way.
Yes, I agree. And our guest this week, and by the way, if she's listening, I want to thank ODB for having spent this time with us. We sure do appreciate it. And she was on that show. She was on Total Nonstop Deletion.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of looked at, and I said this on a recap that I wrote, a editorial. Yeah, I know you have Kiss Alive 3. Did you ever see the Kiss Symphony Alive 4?
I never saw it. I have the CD.
Okay. So you know how it goes, that the first act is basically Kiss being Kiss. And the second act is kind of like it's the strings section, so it's more ballads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different. And then they blow the freaking thing up with a full-on orchestra and a symphony and the whole 9 yards mixed with Kiss, and it's just this epic, cool...
Which, can I be honest, that's actually from Alive 4, and I'm not the biggest music guru by any stretch of the imagination or anything, so I don't make these references often, but that might be my favorite version of Detroit Rock Steady.
With the symphony?
Yes.
There's a lot of it. I like the way that they did God of Thunder with the symphony as well. It just made everything bigger without wimpying it up to fit the symphony. They kind of had the symphony toughen it up to reach them. And, you know, there's been other bands that did that. Metallica did one, and Metallica's mindset of it was basically we're going to play louder than the symphony, so it's basically a moot point for them being there. Kiss actually kind of incorporated them in the songs and retooled the songs a little bit to give them parts, which was really cool. I thought that was really cool. The reason I even mentioned this, though, is I kind of looked at the Impact Total Nonstop Deletion in that way. Like the first part of it, despite a different setting, kind of just was TNA being TNA. And then you had that little bit different feel to the Eddie Edwards and Bobby Lashley match. That would be like the second set. And then completely off the rails, different than anything you've ever heard or seen before with Tag Team Apocalypto.
I still don't know where they got the cherry pickers or Volcano.
That was the Volcano was awesome. What was your favorite part of that complete nonsense?
Well, we call it nonsense, but there was actually like multiple different stories going on, and they all like, I don't know, it was really, and most of them had conclusions. The only one that didn't was the Lashley Eddie Edwards thing. I was hoping there'd be, because I thought it was hilarious that they were brawling all over while the Tag Team Apocalypto match was going on. And I thought there was going to be some kind of weird payoff to that, but there really wasn't. But
the weird payoff was Hornswoggle trying to spear him, just bouncing off of. That was the real payoff of it. But yes,
By the way, Hornswoggle in one line became funnier than he ever was in WWE.
What line was that?
It's like, I'm a grown man, no head pats. Stop with the head pats. I'm a grown man. And I don't know why. That dry sarcasm just kind of tickled me.
There you go. I enjoyed Shane Helms.
The Lake of Reincarnation? That was great.
That was awesome. I enjoyed that. The only thing that would have made it better is I was at IKEA once, literally just about a month ago, and they had these lime green circular table, placemats. And you damn well bet I picked up one of those placemats and I started going, everybody 3 count, 1, 2, 3. And, you know, because they danced on those stupid circles when they were 3 count. They should have gone to IKEA and got one of those and had them dancing on those silly, stupid circles, because that would have made it perfect.
Who would have ever thought you'd have seen a 3 count reference in 2016?
I'm okay with it. Evan Courageous is actually my friend on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool because, like, sometimes I'll go on this wild rant that borders on racism, and Brian Clark and Evan Courageous inevitably like the post. And it's like, that's really weird yet cool. By the way, bordering on racism is just me being sarcastic. I think that this election brought out the absolute worst of humanity. A side of me I'm not particularly proud of. I don't think I ever crossed quite the line into racism, but I think that being told over and over again that you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, eventually you're going to start reacting to it and playing to it. And unfortunately, we all kind of, both sides really showed that we could be scumbags human beings, and I'm kind of glad it's over.
Try to imagine my point of view being an independent, just looking at both sides like eating each other. It was kind of scary at points.
And yet the third-party candidate ended up with less electoral college votes than Bernie Sanders, who wasn't even running, and I say Lord Littlebrook, it's not, but it was some little feather person up in Washington State ended up with more electoral college votes than the third-party candidates. So it's kind of like that. What does that say about the state of a potential third-party run? Really, it's non-existent.
This was, to be honest, this was the year to put up somebody like really solid. We got Gary Johnson. It was like, all right.
You had Jill Stein.
Cool.
Jill Stein. It's like if you just go up to somebody now and say Fabio. It's like a punchline without a joke.
Oh man.
Okay, but we had ODB on this show, and by the way, for those who don't know, we try not to talk politics on this show because we did a couple times, and all it does really is make bad feelings. Not necessarily with you and I, but with former hosts on the show. So, and I realize that we'll piss off half our audience no matter what side we take. So, we try not to. I do think that the worst of humanity came out in that election. I'm just happy I was on the winning side of it. Anyway, we'll get back to the. Yeah, you go. I get that little jab in before we change the subject. So here we are at the end of the year. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did. Very nice and relaxed. Got a few books. My favorite, and this shows I'm getting old. My favorite present that I got: brand new slippers. Really needed those.
That's really cool.
I was super stoked. I was like, I got me my slippers. That's all I needed.
I got a lot of cool stuff. I mean, just a lot of cool stuff. Some wrestling, some music, some, whole across the board. I got a whole bag full of TNA DVDs because of that sale they're doing on their website. So that was pretty neat to open up. And I was like, oh, cool, I can rewatch this one. And that was pretty neat. And it's cool that TNA looks like they're going to still be in business. So that's pretty cool, too.
Looks like it, yeah, but I don't know how they stay alive. But, I mean, they are the C-line company when they've got 9 lives or something.
Well, I'm glad for them. And you know as well as everybody else does that we've had co-hosts on this show that have been, well, let's be honest, they probably bordered on the sycophant portion when it comes to TNA and really been on their side. And I think you know that I support TNA probably more than the average wrestling fan does.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's any secret that I'm critical of them when I do think what they're doing sucks, but I probably am more fair to them than most because I legitimately have been there since day one. So anyway, I'm just glad to see it from a fan's perspective, to see that they are still able to have something that looks like a light at the end of the tunnel now with Anthem coming in. Gosh, I hope it works out for them because I shudder to think what the wrestling world would be without them.
Well, and even though they're not strong number 2s to WWE or anything, it's nice to have Lucha Underground and TNA and Ring of Honor and any other promotion that you can think of. I like having options. And I was actually having this discussion with somebody the other day, not about wrestling, but about animated movies. So this is going to be an odd tie-in, but bear with me. I was talking about how my favorite animated movie that I saw this year was Kubo and the Two Strings. It is the animation is not CGI. It's stop motion animation, like Nightmare Before Christmas or something like that. But it's done really, really well. And I was like, man, it looks so different compared to all the other CGI films that come out these days. Because I look at Disney films and Pixar films and DreamWorks and the studio that makes the Despicable Me movies. I forget their name.
Universal.
With all the Is it Universal? I forget the name of the actual.
I don't know the name of the actual one, but the parent company is Universal.
Okay, interesting. But my point is that I'm not saying those movies are bad. I'm just saying they all look the same. Like, I'm at a point where I see trailers for these things, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like you could show trailers for 3 animated movies in a row, and I would feel like I saw the same trailer 3 times in a row. And Kubo really stood out to me because it was different, and I felt like I got a different experience. And I like things that are different. I don't like to be fed the same exact thing over and over again, and that's one of the reasons I don't want to live in a world where, and we lived in that world very briefly from 2001 to about the time Ring of Honor and TNA started up a year later. I don't want to live in a world where that's my only option, because that's boring and terrible.
Well, we're headed that way again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems that way, yeah.
And I'm going to say this. Look, I'm going to say this. There was a company called World of Sport that was old-style English wrestling that was around for decades, leading into the 80s when the WWF, at the time, Boom came around. This was an English company, so it was old-school English wrestling. It was not anything that I would call how would I put this? It was nothing that you would put on now and say, holy crap, I need to see more of that. It was pretty basic wrestling, but it had its own charm. So the company that does it's called ITV, tried to relaunch what was World of Sport Wrestling earlier this year, and they filmed a TV special. Almost immediately after, WWE comes out with this, we're doing this UK title tournament, and we're going to sign all these guys to contracts, and they can't work anywhere else unless we approve it. If you don't see that that's an immediate knee-jerk reaction to try to stifle anything that could potentially resemble competition, I can't help you. Now, NXT, we can debate this all night long. But
it's funny that you mentioned that. I don't mean to interrupt you. It's funny that you mentioned that because when I first heard they were doing the UK tournament, my first reaction was like they're trying to snuff out TNA because that's their biggest market. That's their most successful market, as far as I know, is in the UK. And I'm like, they're trying to snuff out TNA. That was my knee-jerk reaction to the news. But yeah.
They're trying to stifle out everything, anything that comes up that's trying to be competition to them. And they're doing it at the expense of other companies. You have Steve Corino, who's apparently going to be going to train at the WWE Performance Center, so he's going to be leaving ROH. And what did they do? But they went, instead of any other English dude who can talk, they went and hired away Nigel McGuinness from Ring of Honor. You cannot tell me that all of this is not laced in the idea that they want to rule the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I put a picture up, and I'll say this on air. I don't usually like to swear on these. I do sometimes. My picture that I posted was Vince McMahon, and it said, why? Because fuck you, that's why. That's basically it. I really do think that's what it comes down to. And if you look, I'm on shaky ground because I think you know that my favorite era of wrestling history was that late 80s, early 90s WWF right after they took over the world, literally.
Where, again, and this is why, and I'll throw WCW into the mix here, that's why whenever I hear them present their history of what happened during the Monday Night Wars, I'm like, oh, they took all the top stars from us and tried to run us out of business and all this other stuff. I'm like, Vince, you did the exact same thing in the 80s. You took all the top stars from all the territories and you ran them all out of business. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, but that's different. I did that to them. They were doing this to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing that really pisses me off is that if you argue this point with a typical Internet fan, and I know I insult the Internet fans, and we're on Internet wrestling shows, so it kind of is me slapping the people who are listening to us for no apparent reason. But if you try and argue this point with them, they will come out with this crap. Oh, they used money to pull away the big stars and all this stuff. They did it the wrong way. The company that you watch, and I'll reference this, I'll say this, I'll finish my point. The company that you watch and defend to no end did the exact same thing to tons of territories. They did that to World Class. They did that to the AWA. They did that to Crockett. I mean, geez, they ran the table on everybody who was making money. Mid-South, the whole 9 yards. Florida, Georgia Championship, the whole 9 yards. Anybody who was any good or they could see could be good.
I mean, they robbed, what was Stu Hart's promotion?
Calgary. Stampede.
Calgary. Stampede, yeah. Took all the talent from there.
Sure did. Oh, man. So I'm going to finish my point. And we talked about this with ODB. What kind of bugs me is at the Lucha event that I went to, I was here, me and my family, in Phoenix, Vampiro was there. He was sitting at the table, and he was basically, I don't think he was doing commentary. I think he was kind of like the Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay.
You know, kind of the guy who was making shit run, right? literally at the gorilla position. He did come out a few times and talk. He did not sign autographs, which I thought was weird, but he was there. I mentioned this because I was standing in the crowd waiting to get into the second show, and some dude was coming up behind me talking to me about it. And he's like, "Who's that dude at the desk?" I said, "Vampiro." And he looks at me blankly, and he's my age, so I'm thinking, "You're old enough to remember WCW." I said, "Don't you remember WCW feuded with Sting?" "Oh, no, I didn't watch that. I only watched WWE." And it's like, that's what is the problem. We talked about it with ODB, that a lot of what's happening in the women's division right now for WWE that they're getting so much credit for, TNA did about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, they make it, and you're absolutely right when you say that this whole women's revolution and everything. I'm like, yeah, I mean, and it's not just TNA either. TNA was the first one to really give women a big platform and a nationally televised company, but you saw in the indies, too, you saw things like Shimmer and a bunch of other things. So it's like the idea that the women can actually wrestle is not a new thing, and WWE is presenting it like it's a new thing that they invented. And it's like, no, you were actually kind of the last holdouts who weren't doing it.
I understand that because they are giving credence to it, it gives it a whole level of legitimacy that maybe it didn't have before. I mean, I understand that. But my problem with it is now they're getting credit as if Stephanie McMahon, who, as far as I know, is not responsible for it, is getting books written about her, about what a visionary she is to see that women could draw. And it's like, it's been done before you and made money before you. Maybe not as much as you're making now because you're the number one friggin' platform, but it's not the only time it's ever been done. And it seems like, and I referenced the Vampiro thing because it seems like unless it happens at WWE, it doesn't get remembered.
Yeah, you say that, and that's true to a point, but I think with the WWE Network, they've kind of, oddly enough and very ironically, I'm noticing that more and more people are discovering things from ECW and WCW, which I really like. Just on my YouTube channel, I do classic match reviews. So once a month I'll review a classic match, I'll post it on Twitter, I'll post a poll, and pick one of these three matches and I'll review it. And for December, I decided, okay, I'll do a Starrcade match because December was Starrcade month. And the three matches I put on there, it was Piper and Valentine in the dog collar match.
83, great one.
83. Sting, Flair, and Luger from 95, the triple threat.
That was better than it got credit for, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great hidden gem. But the third one I picked was Tully versus Magnum TA. That's probably my favorite Starrcade match ever. That was from 85.
85, right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I thought, I put it in there hoping that it was going to win, but I assumed it was going to go to either the dog collar match because that's the more celebrated one. And both matches, the Sting Luger Flair match and the Piper Valentine match, have more quote-unquote star power attached to it. And not that I'm questioning the validity of those stars. I'm just saying it's like you look at Tully and Magnum, they're not WWE guys. I mean, Tully had a brief run with the WWF, but that's about it.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly anything to write home about either, really.
No, he was in the Brainbusters. They were great, but they were only there for about a year. So, he
was not liked backstage is part of the reason why.
There you go. But I just assumed that I put it on there hoping that it would win, but assuming that it wasn't going to. And much to my surprise, it not only won, but it won by a lot. So that match has a bit of a reputation, and I think more and more people are discovering matches like that through the WWE Network. So, because you can't, unless you deliberately go out of your way to fuck with it, no amount of revisionist history is going to change the fact that, hey, that match is awesome. And unless you go into the footage and deliberately fuck with it, which they're not going to do. So, unless it's cutting out theme music. They do that to their own damn show, so whatever. But yeah, I'm noticing that more and more people are discovering that there was actually good shit away from the WWF or outside of the WWF.
Yeah, but they're doing it on a WWE thing.
No, that's true, but at least like that history is being preserved in some way, and I'm sure Vince would probably have a heart attack if I told him that. It's like, thank you for putting all the WCW stuff on your network. It makes me happy. Because I'll be honest, that's most of what I watch. on the WWE Network is classic WCW NWA stuff, because that stuff hasn't been available for eons.
Right. And I mean, if you grew up a wrestling fan, you watched that stuff. Even if you were predominantly a WWE fan, that stuff was on at different times, like 6:05 on Saturday or 6:05 on Sunday or Saturday morning or even Sunday morning, to where you could watch that and not have to choose. And I was a Hulk Hogan guy. I was Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage all the way, but I was not ignorant to the fact that there was other stuff out there. And I mean, I watched AWA, I watched WCW or NWA as it was. I mean, there was a lot of great stuff back then, and I mean, I guess it's a good thing that it's being preserved in that way, but again, you have to be on the lookout for it for that to be the case. And when they do these documentaries, though, the kind of shit they come out with, like Ric Flair takes the cake. I couldn't wait for them to be out of business. So the company that you basically were, for lack
that you're known for,
that you actually had good runs for, as opposed to your overblown, not very good run with WWE the year in 1992-93. The company that you actually had your best shit for, you couldn't wait for it to close. Bullshit, my friend. Bullshit.
And there's, Mike Graham, rest in peace, but him saying it's like, oh, I'm glad that Vince bought it. I'm glad that a wrestling guy bought the company. And that's why Scott Steiner is awesome, because I heard him say in a shoot interview once, he's like, no. Like, what was the feeling like backstage during that last night show? Oh, we were pissed off and sad. And it was like, why? Because we knew the business was fucked. And I'm like, see, there's Scott Steiner telling it like it is.
Well, I mean, I don't give Paul Heyman credit for much, but I'll give him credit for this. He told Vince not to buy it. Apparently, he pleaded with him not to buy it, saying that not having that even more so a competition would kill the business. So Paul Heyman,
all right.
I give him credit. He got one right.
And that was one of those things where people immediately thought, oh, we're going to get all the dream matches, which didn't really happen. But people were like, oh, my God, we're going to finally get all those WCW, WWF dream matches. And I'm like, yeah, but then what?
Then what? Exactly right. I had that conversation with somebody who was in the business. She was a valet who was, I can't remember, Logan something or other was her husband. And I remember, we're finally going to get to see this. And I said, okay, let's say that does happen. And I had my doubts that it would anyway. Then what? Then what? And there was never an answer to that. And I think the then what ended up being the shitty, convoluted invasion like a year later that was just awful. And, man, what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah. It was,
magical times. And I had this conversation with Caroline. She said, Raw did 2.9 million viewers. And she said, that for what it used to be, that's not that many. And I said, well, if you really think about it, WCW was being told that it was passé and done when it was getting about 3 million viewers on Nitro. And Raw was getting like 8 million. And it's like, where are those other people? Where did they go?
I think the teenagers, because it was, and let's be honest, wrestling became kind of a fad in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh,
and I think
big time. I called it Mark Madness, but go ahead.
Okay. I think a lot of those kids just grew up and found other things.
Yeah, they found out that they didn't need to see these divas in short skirts. They can go on the internet and find free porn. And I do believe there was a big proponent of people who watched that because of the girls, and not in the way that we're talking about now, but in the way back then where they were literally just the TNA.
And that was part of the thing where the divas and the way women are represented needed to change drastically, because over-sexualizing them to the degree that they were in the late 90s doesn't make sense now, because like you said, you can get free porn on the internet. So I don't feel like, I mean, you can have sexy women, but they have to have more substance beyond just being a floating pair of tits. Because
I will agree with you. I will say this. Our guest this week was ODB. On the recent ROH show, she wrestled Kelly Klein, who, by the way, likes our Facebook page. And I was watching that match, and I was looking at Kelly Klein. I'm like, Jesus Christ, she's hot. But it's like she's an actual wrestler. So you're not, like, supposed to think that. But you're going to notice it anyway. You're like, holy shit, she's pretty fucking hot. So you're gonna notice these things without Jerry Lawler going through puberty with his voice, explaining to you how hot what you're seeing is. You're gonna notice it. You don't need to be told that somebody's attractive.
Right.
It's like he never saw a woman before. I mean, yeah. So what? Okay.
Yeah, I remember, because, I was a teenager and I liked the female form as much as the next guy. But I'm at that point in my life now where it's like, yes, I appreciate naked women. I appreciate the female form. I'm as attracted to women as the next guy. But if that's all your show has to offer, I'm not going to watch that. It's like, I can find better ways to spend my time than just looking at naked women on the television. Because it's like,
Once you've seen one naked woman, you want to see the rest of them.
I don't want to see them all, but it's like, if I want that, I go out to a bar and pick one up. It's not like, you know what I mean?
It has been known to happen before. You could do that if you were so inclined. So
yeah. Like when I watch a TV show, I want my stories. Give me my stories.
Yeah.
But I want good stories.
And we're getting a lot of those with Lucha Underground right now. I'll give them that. There's a lot of shit going on, though. But there's almost too much shit going on. But
yeah, you and I were having that discussion earlier. But, I do kind of like that because I've been watching them from the beginning. I trust that everything's going to tie in, and they have a plan for all this shit, and it's going to probably all come to a head at Ultima Lucha Trace.
Right.
But again, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, so it's the last show of the year, so Happy New Year, unless you're Chinese, in which case, Happy Holiday, because, they don't follow our calendar, so it's really nothing to them. Anyway, I used that joke earlier to say for people about Christmas who say Happy Holidays because they don't want to offend anybody. I said, so we shouldn't say Happy New Year because we could offend the Chinese because they don't follow our calendar like we do.
I don't think they care.
They're too busy worrying what Trump's going to do now. It's like, oh shit, they got balls again. Okay, so we're back here. End of year. I think we should just talk about some of our favorite moments of the year. Did you want to give yours, and I'll kind of counter with mine?
Okay, sounds good. First up, I came up with 8. I think that's 8. Yes, I can count. All right, 8 categories going over the year of 2016 for professional wrestling. My first category is spot of the year. I guess you can call it highlight of the year. Basically, the crazy spots that dominated the highlight reels and was a major highlight of 2016. I've got 2 for this category. The obvious one is from WrestleMania 32, Shane McMahon's insane cell dive, which I don't know if Shane is suicidal or what, because there's not enough money on the planet to get me to do that spot. I don't care if the table was gimmicked. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So, Shane is insane, and full props to him for doing that. My other one is not so much a hardcore Daredevil spot, but it was from a Lucha Underground match, the No Mas match between Sexy Star and Mariposa when Sexy Star yelled, fuck you into the microphone. That was really cool, unexpected, and really raised the emotional impact of the match in my eyes.
Wow. I don't think I've seen that one yet. I'm going through...
Oh, you have not seen the No Mas match?
I have not seen that one yet. That's from Season 2, correct?
Yep.
Okay. We've watched them all the way almost at the end. We're at Ultimate Lucha 1, watching them in order from the DVD catalog that we have. And I have seen a lot from the Way of the Turkey Marathon from Season 2, because that was predominantly Season 2 that they aired. But I did not see that match, at least not that I remember.
It was on there.
Okay.
But there was a clip of me talking about it, so.
Okay. Well, we will definitely, we've already discussed this. I will help you get those later on tonight. All right. I'm going to say that my highlight of this year so far has been the only guiding light that TNA really has had, and that is Matt Hardy finding this character, this broken character, which started out as a heel, but was so infectious and off the wall that it actually became a babyface. And they managed to turn it into such without bastardizing it completely. Maybe a little, but not completely. And
that's always the tricky part when, especially, I mean, WWE makes this mistake all the time, but whenever you turn a heel babyface, it's, you know, it's very easy to screw that up and just neuter what made the character cool in the first place. But to be honest, they haven't done that with Broken Matt yet.
No, they have. I mean, I don't think that the Jeff involvement of Brother Nero helps any, but it is cool that, you know, it is cool to have that.
Wonderful!
Yes! Okay. What is your next award?
Okay, next one, Weekly Show of the Year. This one's pretty obvious. Basically, pick your favorite wrestling show to watch week to week. For me, if you know who I am and you listen to anything that I spout as far as wrestling shows, and you know what I'm going to say, it's Lucha Underground. They had Season 2 this year. They're about halfway through Season 3. They're going to have their mid-season finale next week. And we're on the road to Ultimate Lucha Trace, and I'm still a diehard fan. I'm loving the show. I love the presentation. I love the style. I love the characters and the stories. And honestly, I think the matches are great, too. They do a lot of, like, basic wrestling stuff really, really well. So, I mean, they've really got all the bases covered.
I think that Lucha Underground was a company that I didn't take seriously because of my political leanings, I guess you could say, with being polite. I just feared that it was, it's just a Mexican wrestling show. And then I started watching it, and it's like, holy crap, this is really good. And yes, there's some really good stuff on there. Like I said, I have my concerns. I think they might be trying to do a little too much on the storytelling right now. But I will say that it's the one show I can get the entire family wrestling-wise to sit down and actually watch, as opposed to putting on and then people wander off like 2 minutes into it because some dude comes out with a microphone and talks for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So
which is another thing, if we can have a quick sidebar here, if there's anything, and Lucha has done this, and NXT to a degree does this because they basically just present 1970s style wrestling, but we need to move past the Eric Bischoff / Vince Russo like TV format for pro wrestling. It is so archaic and so outdated that it's like, good Lord, this needs to change. Like, we can't have all these shows formatted like this.
Well, I don't know that I feel that putting the Bischoff in there. I'll agree with
I mean, they started it. I mean, those were the two guiding lights that really led to what the formula, the playbook that WWE follows step by step.
Well, basically, what they did is they took the show, they got rid of anything that resembled a squash match, and instead they imported really, really long talking segments. I mean, there was promos that Hogan cut with the NWO where he talked for so much his voice broke. It was just like, it was never ending. And you can see that Triple H does that all the time, where he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. And at some point, you just don't give a shit what he has to say anymore.
Yep.
All right. So sidebar aside, what you got up next?
Just to be clear, for your weekly show, you pick Lucha Underground, right?
Yes. And I will say that I wouldn't have said so even as recently as 6 months ago, but now I would.
Okay, cool.
I used to like Paragon, but I don't do apps, so I can't really watch it anymore.
Oh, it's on an app. You just sold it to me. I might have to check it out now.
It's on the Fight app. It's on the same app that basically owns TNA now.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, next category I have is Feud of the Year. What feud and or storyline was your favorite for 2016? There's plenty of really good ones. I thought, if you look at NXT, I thought the Revival had some really good ones with DIY and American Alpha. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had a good feud. AJ Styles and John Cena had a really good high-profile feud. Really, again, Lucha Underground is my love, and they had tons of great feuds this year. My favorite one was King Cuerno versus Mil Muertes, which led into Ultima Lucha Dos. And, again, just the evolving insanity of the whole thing with Mil Muertes being killed in a casket match, so then King Cuerno, like, abducts his corpse and props it up in his trophy room as like, a prize. And then Katrina revives and she revives Mil Muertes and he comes back for revenge, and they have that violent match at Ultima Lucha Dos. It was very ridiculous, but again, it was a story. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And most of the time in wrestling these days, you have a beginning, and then it just stays on repeat for a month or two, and then you just move on to the next series of matches. But this was like an evolving story. It was very weird, but it involved two characters and two wrestlers that I really, really like. So I enjoyed it all the way.
That was a great match. I saw that match. That one I did see, and wow, that's, you know, my wife is a big fan of Mil Muertes, aren't you, dear? So she thought that was great too when that match he had with Corno at Ultima Lucha Dos. That was just incredible. So yeah, I give you that. That was. Yeah, I'll second that one. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Okay. Right, next category, Tag Team of the Year. Tag Team Wrestling is obviously something that I like quite a bit. And I take, whenever it's done well, I get very, very happy over it. So my pick for Tag Team of the Year, we're going to go into NXT for this one. I really, really like the Revival. They are old school as shit. Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, I mentioned the Brainbusters earlier. They really do remind me of Arn and Tully. They are just a great roughneck, old school style of team, and they had incredible matches all year long. And the proof is in the pudding. WWE Today posted their list, top 25 matches of 2016, and their 2 out of 3 falls match with Gargano and Ciampa from the last TakeOver special was listed as number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, so WWE gave the NXT tag title match their match of the year, which I thought was pretty damn cool.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, and so how about you, James? What's your pick for Tag Team of the Year?
Tag Team of the Year. I don't got one.
You haven't got one?
I don't watch NXT, I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry, but my problem with it is the perception. The perception by many that it's somehow external to WWE. It's not. So I get angry.
Well, I just said that they listed an NXT match as their match of the year. So
you're a little bit different than the norm, though. There's a lot of people who.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that bugs me. So for that reason, I was like, it's the same reason I for the longest time didn't give ROH a chance, because too many people told me that I should like it, but I refused to watch it. I was like, yeah, too much now. Fuck you. I'm not going to watch it. Just because you told me.
With NXT, and there's a little bit of a frustration with it, because it's literally the best thing that WWE produces, and it just enrages me that they can't make Raw or SmackDown like that either. It's like, come on, guys, this is your developmental show, and it's better than what you put on every Monday and Tuesday night. What the fuck? I would
give, if I was going to give a tag team the tip of the hat, even though they didn't do much this year because one of them's been injured. Even if I am pandering a little bit because he was our last guest on the show, I would give it to the Wolves just because they're still, the progression of Eddie Edwards has been great for TNA, so I give him that.
It is nice that we got Beer Money versus the Wolves at some point before Bobby Roode left.
It is. We finally, they got to put out together one of TNA's old school tag teams with the ones who were kind of the workforce during the dark years. So, I got to give them that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right, after that, Female Superstar of the Year. Obviously, the revival of women's wrestling has been a huge topic this year. There's plenty of great ones to go with. Again, if you look at Lucha Underground, you have Sexy Star, won the Lucha Underground title. Taya, who's been she's been doing really well over there. Eva Lise is a major player. And they have their women wrestle the men, which really actually helps them stand out even more and really adds to the whole, did you really invent the women's revolution? WWE, because I'm pretty sure Lucha Underground has their women wrestling men and treating it like it's awesome. So, yeah, I'm just saying. But, God, what else? You look at NXT, you've got Asuka, who's had a great year. TNA, Gail Kim got put into the Hall of Fame, had a great year. So there's plenty of options, but and I know you're probably not going to like my answer here. I'm going to give it to Charlotte Flair, largely because of the level of promotion that's been put into her. And I feel like she's done a pretty good job with the amount of promotion that they've given her. And I think she is a good talent. maybe the Sasha Banks matches, I know we talked about this on our last show, those matches weren't the be-all, end-all that they said they were, but I think she carries herself very well, and she's, they gave her the ball, and she's run with it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last time, that would the matches be reviewed the way that they're reviewed if it wasn't Ric Flair's daughter against Snoop Dogg's niece? And to be honest with you, my answer is no. They would not be reviewed the same way. They would be reviewed the way that they should be, which is, okay matches, maybe even pretty good matches, but not this, it redefines women's wrestling crap. That's just garbage. That's hot garbage, and I'm going to say so.
I think I can list at least 5 or 6 women's matches this year that are better than better than their Hell in a Cell match, which main evented a pay-per-view.
I agree. Female Performer of the Year. I mean, I think you got to look at either Gail Kim or Asuka, because look at what they've done. Gail Kim is put in the Hall of Fame, first female Hall of Famer for TNA. That's a lot to go with there. And you also got somebody who came from Japan and took NXT, which I'm not a big fan of, but I admittedly will say that she's made enough waves to where people who are former wrestlers for WWE want to come in and work her because she's so damn good. So,
Well, and that match he had with Mickie James was really good.
Yeah, I give her credit. So, yeah, I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed not to put her as number one.
Yeah, like I said, there were a lot of good options this year. So,
exactly. I have no problem with Charlotte Flair either. Charlotte Flair's fine. I just think that she gets all the credit that David and Reed never got for being a Flair, probably because of the platform she has, I guess. But there you go.
Yeah. All right, next category, pay-per-view or special event of the year. So, what major pay-per-view or special event was your favorite, James? And for special event, I'll include, if you want to list, Total Nonstop Deletion or Aztec Warfare or Ultima Lucha or something like that, or one of the NXT TakeOver specials, go right ahead.
I was going to go, honestly, before you even said that, with Ultima Lucha Dos, because those were just 3 awesome shows that were spectacular. I mean, they're 3 one-hour shows, but if you put them together as one show, just incredible. So much great stuff on there. That would be my number one. If I had a slot 2 or a slot 1A, I'd go Total Nonstop Deletion just because of what it meant. Completely different than anything we've ever seen before, but special because it's timing. Sometimes you can watch things and maybe they don't mean as much because you don't know the timing. This one was timing. TNA was down and out, ready to be sold off for spare parts, and they did something special that, liked it or loved it or hated it. It was special because it was something different, and they were doing something that people were talking about, and it wasn't about whether they were going to be around the next week or not. It was just simply something they were doing. So that really meant something to them, for that company to succeed.
Yeah, and that's actually an interesting point. Again, I'm going on another sidebar here, but you look at the stuff that they did, like the Final Deletion and the Great War, and Delete or Decay, and Total Nonstop Deletion with the Tag Team Apocalypto and all that crazy stuff. And you also look at something like the Will Ospreay Ricochet match that got a lot of buzz earlier this year. Whether you like those things or you didn't like those things, and there's valid criticism and valid praises for both of those for completely different reasons. I thought it was really cool that these matches outside of the scope of the WWE were getting some level of attention, and the attention was about debates and discussions regarding the merits of the art form. The actual quality of the art form and how it's defined was being debated on the basis of the Broken Matt Hardy matches and this Will Ospreay Ricochet match. I mean, even The Rock commented on the Ospreay Ricochet match. I found that out earlier today, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I think that's really awesome that whenever something like that happens, and the stuff that goes on in Tag Team Apocalypto and the Final Deletion, it's all insane, but you watch it and you have to talk about it, and it's just sparked some very interesting discussions, again, about the future of the art form and its validity as part of the art form. So I thought that was very cool.
Agreed completely.
And by the way, my show of the year, I almost forgot. I'm going to go to almost the very beginning of the year, the Tokyo Dome show from New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom 10. I think this, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased, I don't know, but the Dome shows that they do in January to me are like, they're better WrestleManias than WrestleMania. At least that's how it felt the last 2 years I've watched it. Because WrestleMania, especially when you look at this year, was over-bloated, overly long, did a bunch of stuff I didn't like. The Dome show that New Japan did with Wrestle Kingdom 10, a lot of big matches. You had AJ and Nakamura and basically their swan song from the promotion, outstanding match. And that was for the Intercontinental title. Okada and Tanahashi, a repeat from last year's Wrestle Kingdom, another amazing match with Okada finally defeating Tanahashi in the Wrestle Kingdom main event and retaining the IWGP World Heavyweight title. You had Kenny Omega versus Kushida in their final battle for the Junior Heavyweight title. You had
Kenny Omega,
Shibata
by the way. Kenny Omega is awesome.
He is, absolutely.
Yeah, he would work anywhere. I like Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
I think he would work anywhere.
Yeah, well, the thing, again, I'm getting sidetracked here again, but he basically had to fill the shoes after AJ Styles left, and I think he's done a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also on this card was Shibata versus Ishii for the Never Openweight title. Just a lot of big, very good title matches that delivered on a big stage like the Tokyo Dome. So, again, when I say it's like a better version of WrestleMania, yeah, it kind of is. It's kind of like a better version of WrestleMania. And I know it was at the very beginning of the year in January, but I thought it was an outstanding show all the same.
Mm-hmm. It was. I've seen it in Japanese commentary and in English commentary, so there you go.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. 2 categories left. Male Superstar of the Year. For me, this is an easy one. And I know we talk about WWE buying up talents all the time, but I was so happy to see AJ Styles come in. And you and I were on the same wavelength here. We thought he was going to get fucked over royal because he was a TNA guy. And it's like they were going to make his life hell when he's there. Aside from some booking miscues that they do with everybody, to be perfectly honest, he's done amazingly well, really, really well. And you look at the matches he's had with Roman Reigns, with Dean Ambrose, with John Cena, that high-profile feud that they had. Chris Jericho, even though those matches weren't the best, it was kind of his foot in the door. AJ has done phenomenally well. James Ellsworth, yeah. Which I don't see his appeal. Can we just talk about that another sidebar? I don't get why he's over.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
He's like 2016 version of Jameson. I didn't understand Jameson either.
Incidentally, remember that pay-per-view where they had Bray Wyatt had that incident with a kid? That was Jameson's kid. That was Jameson's son when they did that segment with Bray Wyatt and his son. That was Jameson's son.
I didn't even know Jameson was still involved.
He's not. He's not. He was backstage visiting, and they're like, "Oh, here's your kid. Let's put him on TV."
Who is he? What?
Okay, Jameson, I don't know what the hell he was supposed to be. He was one of these things Vince thought was funny on prime time, and then he went on to be the most annoying fucking character in Global Wrestling Federation history, to where there was a never-ending annoyance and nuisance, not in a way where there was ever a payoff, except when somebody actually decided, that's it, I'm kicking this guy, and they kicked him right in the fucking head and knocked him off the ring apron. And he was apparently not supposed to do that, but he did it anyway and just really stiffed him. And apparently that got the biggest pop in the backstage area for them ever. Just a guy that was just there, and I guess because he was in WWE, he managed to parlay that into more money elsewhere. But what the hell he was supposed to be? I don't know. I didn't get it. It wasn't funny.
Okay.
For a time, I thought it was Mike Tenay at first. I don't know why. Somebody told me that when Mike Tenay first appeared on WCW TV, and I was like, I guess it could be, but not really. And then I looked it up later on. I was like, yeah, there's no way that's him. So,
okay. Well, anyway, back to AJ. As somebody who has been a big fan of AJ Styles for years, at least over a decade, I've been singing this dude's praises as one of the best in the business for a while. He was my favorite wrestler. I would say even now he's still my favorite wrestler. And you run into this too. I know. Whenever you support something outside the WWE, it's like you break from the hive, you break from the collective. So, saying that AJ Styles is my favorite wrestler, it's kind of like, oh, you're just being contrarian. Oh, he's not really that good. He's not a draw. He's not a main event level guy like the insert name of WWE main eventer here. And I would always defend AJ and say that the quality of his work shines above everything else. And I felt validated when he won the PWI. He was #1 Pro Wrestler of the Year, the PWI 500, while still working for TNA. And that was back in 2009. And I was like, tell me again how he's not as good as or better than the guys that you see in WWE. And now he is in the WWE. Here he is. He's the WWE fucking champion. So, okay, now I can sit here and say, now that AJ Styles is working for the company and main eventing for the company that you guys all supported, he's your guy now, and I can say I was right, that AJ Styles is the man. He's still awesome. And for him to be doing as well as he is in WWE now, I think it's good for him because he deserves it.
I agree. Normally, I don't like when they go to WWE. I've been critical of everybody, including Sting, for going to WWE. AJ Styles has gone there, and it's not really their choice whether they make it great there or not because it's how you're booked, but AJ has made it great, and you're right. There's a level of validation for any old-school TNA fan, any guy who watched him come up through the years and say, wow, this guy's phenomenal. To see that he is succeeding on the biggest platform there is proves that we were right.
Absolutely. Okay, and
he called me once. He called me once from a transsexual convention. I had just interviewed him a couple weeks before, and I guess I was like, for whatever reason, the top number on his list. So he's like, dude, I just want to talk about sports and video games because I'm standing in front of a man wearing a thong and I'm freaked out. So we talked about No Mercy for about 20 minutes, and then that was that. The No Mercy wrestling video game. There you go.
Awesome. So what's your pick for Superstar of the Year? Male Superstar of the Year, I should say.
I'm going to go AJ Styles, too. I mean, I hate to keep agreeing with you, but, I mean, it's the Cinderella story, really, if you think about it. A guy who you never would have expected to make it there, making it there. So you got to give it to him. I did not like how he started. I did not think he needed to lose to Jericho at WrestleMania. There was things like that I really thought sucked, but then they got it right. So I give them credit. It's one of the few things they have gotten right.
Absolutely. And finally, last category, Match of the Year. I think I've already listed what mine is. I'm going to go Sexy Star versus Mariposa in the Namas match from Lucha Underground. It was everything I love about pro wrestling was in that match. It was violent. It was intense. It was emotional. And it concluded the story perfectly. Like, everything about it was just perfection. It was wonderfully well done. And again, it's a women's match that gets my pick for Match of the Year. So there you go.
And they got them fighting again apparently next week. So, but yeah, she ain't behind the spider thing. I guarantee that. We'll see what happens.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
But who is?
Yeah. All right. So, Match of the Year for me.
Match of the Year.
I got to go with it, and I know people are not going to like this, but I'm going to go with Total Nonstop Deletion, the Tag Team Apocalypto, just because it's effing insane. Plus, I mean, and there was such great little spots in there. Like Jeff Hardy misses the Swanton Bomb off a crane, and Matt Hardy just threw in little one-liners like, "Oh, you spot monkey." And then
the man of 3 H's would be proud of us burying these young, promising talents.
That's exactly right. So there was little gems in there that were just awesome. And the ending with the exploding of the volcano and all that other crazy shit. I mean, you can't do it all the time. Frankly, I don't know if I ever want to see it again, but the fact that it exists could live in folklore for like decades to come. So, it's just awesome. It's one of those things that we're going to talk about 10 years from now and say, hey, remember when they tried that crazy shit?
Yeah.
And, hey, it worked. So I'm going to go with that one just because it's just so out there.
Now, again, another sidebar here. I'm sure you heard it too. For a while, there were rumors that Broken Matt, or I keep calling him Broken Matt, but I guess that's his name now. There was talks that he was going to sign with WWE and present that character in the WWE, and I just thought they're not going to do it right. Because I think that this character, it's all Matt. Like, it's just him coming up with shit. I really doubt
it would be a case of that, and we have to wrap up because we've been going way too long, but it would be a case of what we talked about earlier. They would bastardize.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they always do. They bastardize what goes on for too long. And oh, this is cool. I think I'll give an Eric Clancy line to wrap up the show. We've got lightning in a bottle. Let's open the jar. Let's open the bottle and play with it a little bit. You know what I mean? It's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. You still there, James?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm just reading this. Who is this died?
Who died now?
An editor from Pro Wrestling Digest just died. Who is it again, boss? Karen Belcher. Okay, I know that name. Apparently, Karen Belcher from Pro Wrestling Digest just died. So for those of you who know who Karen Digest is, Karen Belcher is from Pro Wrestling Digest. Sincerest condolences. That Caroline just came over and typed that on my screen here. So it's been a bad year for 2016.
Yeah, I'm still reeling from Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, that's pretty bad with Carrie Fisher and them. We lost some people that were friends of ours. A guy who was posting on our site and a guest on our show last year. Manny Villalobos passed away early this year. I mean, that one, even now, because he was a Cowboys fan, even now I think of something, I'm like, I'm going to fuck with Manny and say this. And then I go, oh, shit. So, yeah, it's like, oh, I can't do that. So these kind of things, creep up on you sometimes. So, anyway, on a pleasant note, we'll wrap up here tonight. Our condolences to Karen Belcher's family and to anybody affected by the losses that we had this year. Let's hope for a better 2017 in terms of celebrity, living. Let's hope more people live and don't leave us, because we lost so many people that were great this year, from Mrs. Brady to the dad from the Growing Pains, Alan Thicke, there's just been so many guys and so many people who've died that were really not that old, from television and movies and all that, from the 70s and 80s, and it's just awful. Christ's sake.
China. To use the biggest wrestling one that passed away this year was China.
China definitely was one, Non-wrestling, you had David Bowie. Just insane.
That's how the year started. Alan Rickman
from Die Hard, amongst other things, yes.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, screw him.
Okay.
No offense. That's not one that I mourned very much. We lost Fidel Castro too.
Lemmy, that was a big one.
That was actually a year ago yesterday. Lemmy Kilmister. Yeah, he's the end of 2015.
Okay.
I'm shocked he didn't go in the Hall of Fame right away, WWE Hall of Fame, but he didn't.
Maybe this year.
I don't know. I think they're going to be forced to put China in, and they don't like to put more than one deceased person in a year.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see it. Because I love Triple H's excuse. It's like, oh, well, what if I put her in, my daughter types her name into Google and finds out that she was in porn? I'm like, dude, Sean Waltman was in the video with her. And you put Sean Waltman in the TV show every chance you get.
Yeah. Again, I'll say, Caroline saying behind me, if Sonny's in, so should China. To be fair, Sonny did the porno afterwards. But, again, if you watch what she did, I'm sorry, but I think she disgraced the business. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand by this. It's sad that she's dead. I'm not celebrating her death. But I don't think that she should be honored by an industry she disgraced. And I'm going to stand by that, even if she goes in.
You should just pull a Trish and see the boss. Then you're guaranteed it.
I don't know if you can hear her in the background at all.
I'm trying to hear her, yeah.
She said, no, you should just be like Trish and sleep with the boss. There's for your guaranteed.
We don't have proof that happened.
What more proof do you need? She was in the business for 6 years, and she got a tearful goodbye. Like there was something special about what she did when she was run-of-the-mill. And I'm saying that not to be a dick, but because it's the truth.
Well, I'm like, and this isn't like the Stephanie McMahon, Randy Savage rumor that's been going around forever. It's like, I have never heard anybody else say that Trish slept with the boss other than you. So, I don't know, like, is there any other tangible proof that happened?
Just the way she's been treated, the way they've gone out of their way to keep her around as one of the people that find her work outside of wrestling, the way that they just champion her as this great thing when she was never that great. That's my reasoning. There's got to be a reason. So I go to base animal instincts.
Sure.
That's where I jump to.
How do I want to phrase this? What you're saying is not completely outside of the realm of possibility in terms of, like, I'm sure that type of stuff has happened before, but, you know, I have no evidence to suggest that it happened with Trish.
I have no reason to doubt it, but, you know, I have no evidence to support it, just circumstantial.
You feel it in your gut.
I feel it. You don't get that kind of a farewell unless there's something to hand here. When you're not that good. You've just been around 6 years. You've been around very little time. There's people who've been working for that company a lot longer than that, and I guarantee you their last match they're losing to some jackass who'll be fired the next week. They're not getting a tearful farewell goodbye. Ain't happening.
You think Mark Henry and Big Show will when they eventually leave?
Mark Henry, yes, but that's another strange, like, Vince obsession.
Yeah.
Big Show, no. I don't think Big Show will get that at all. I like Big Show. I have no problem with Big Show.
My only problem with Big Show really is how he's been booked.
Well, that's not his fault. Like I said with AJ, you can't choose how your run's going to go. You can just make the best of what you're given. Same with Big Show. You know, he came in. He's had some bad angles. He's been thrown off a building and came back from it, and that was in WCW. I mean, he's been a good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy. He's been a crying baby. He's been a lot of different things in his character. To still be relevant despite all the attempts to kill him is amazing.
Well, the thing is like Vince wants to use him, and he's like, he's a big guy, he's a really big giant monster, and it's like, all right, Vince wants to use him, but he doesn't want to book him correctly, which is, hey, why don't you just make him unbeatable? Because he's so fucking big, and that they've never really gotten to a point where they pushed him in that direction.
Well, they did the same thing with Khali. When they had Khali, they kind of like, what should we do with him? I don't know. Let's have him lose to Sin Cara, then we can figure out why he can't get over worse shit. Okay. I mean, Andre the Giant wasn't jobbing the people. That's why Andre the Giant was Andre the fucking Giant.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, dude. We've rambled on enough. All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed our ODB interview and our end-of-year rant. We'll probably do another one of these here in a couple weeks. I got a couple things, oars in the fire, and we'll try and get something going here. Hope you guys enjoyed, Patrick. It was good talking with you tonight.
Always a pleasure.
Have a good night, dude. And everybody, thank you for listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.